Hello everybody, my topic is on speech, velopharyngeal function and hearing before and after orthognathic surgery. So, moving on to the topic, basically patients with dentofacial deformity such as congenital and acquired abnormal position of the maxilla, mandible or both can experience problem with facial aesthetics, mastication and speech. So, the treatment of such condition generally requires both orthodontic and orthognathic surgical procedures involving the maxilla, the mandible or both. So, is there any effect of orthognathic surgery on these factors? Yes, there is. The speech and the velopharyngeal function, both of which may be altered after advancement of the maxilla. And measurements of hearing sensitivity and middle ear function have received minimal attention in patients with orthognathic problems. So, severe skeletal malocclusions requiring surgical correction have deleterious effects on the articulation of consonants and the surgical alteration of these factors leads to the correction of most of these errors. So these are the speech organ which constitute in the production of speech sounds, namely the upper and lower lips, alveolar ridge, teeth, larynx, pharynx, hard palate, soft palate, uvula and the glottis. So next is the speech mechanism. It is basically of three stages. First stage is the conceptualization, second is formulation, third is articulation. So what is the effect of orthognathic surgery on speech? It is that it has a potential benefit on re-establishment of maxillary mandibular relationship re-establishment, and on the other hand maxillary advancement may deteriorate speech intelligibility as well. So what is meant by velopharyngeal mechanism? So we can separate the term velopharyngeal. Velo means nothing but velum or soft palate. Pharyngeal means the lateral and the posterior pharyngeal walls. Pharynx is nothing but the part of the throat between the esophagus and the nasal cavity. So velopharyngeal port is nothing but a gateway formed by the action of the pharynx and the velum to control the flow of air between the mouth and the nasal passages. So what is meant by velopharyngeal insufficiency is that it is defined as the structural defect of the velum or the pharyngeal wall resulting in insufficient closure of the velopharynx when speaking. So basically when maxilla is surgically advanced, the hard and the soft palate are forced to advance as well, and this might compromise velopharyngeal closing. So moving on to the next one is that what is the effect of orthognathic surgery on VPF is that following maxillary osteotomy is the lack of the adaptability of the velopharyngeal muscles to achieve velopharyngeal closure due to scarring from previous palate surgery. So basically maxillary advancement worsens velopharyngeal insufficiency. Like maxillary advancement surgical procedures increases the anteroposterior and the left and right diameters of this velopharyngeal area, requiring the soft palate to stretch adequately to compensate for the velopharyngeal closing. So in a study conducted by Shendal et al., like she found out that the soft palate length increased after maxillary advancement procedure by 1.8 mm in cleft lip cleft condition patients, and in case of non-cleft condition it increased by about 2.5 mm. So what is the effect of orthognathic surgery on hearing is that it may cause eustachian tube dysfunction. Though it is mild and transient, it might not require intervention in most cases. The muscles of the eustachian tube originate from the pterygoid process, which is the major site of Leaford 1 osteotomy. So any trauma or structural changes to the tensor valli palatini or the levator valli palatini muscles may alter function of the eustachian tube and hearing sensitivity. So moving on to the literature review part. So in a study conducted by Ji Hyuk Chung et al., he divided the cleft lip and palate patients into two groups. One group underwent Leaford 1 conventional osteotomy and the other group underwent Leaford 1 distraction osteogenesis, and the amount of maxillary advancement were assessed by lateral steps, and the speech assessment was carried out by Pittsburgh weighted speech scale, and they concluded that for cleft lip and palate patient who will receive maxillary advancement by conventional osteotomy, it will be helpful to plan the maxillary advancement procedures which does not exceed 6 mm. Like when it exceeds 6 mm, speech deterioration occurred, and in case of maxillary advancement with distraction osteogenesis, the amount of maxillary advancement should not exceed 11 mm. So another study conducted by Valerie J. Pereira et al., like he included both the cleft and non-cleft individuals, and he studied the post-op velopharyngeal and speech factor estimation, and he concluded that velopharyngeal changes seen immediately post-operative are stable and permanent. And another study conducted by Linda D. Balaino, like she studied severe skeletal malocclusion patients, and he categorized them into 4 groups: class 2 malocclusion, class 2 with an open bite, class 3 and class 3 with an open bite. And the clinical assessment was carried out individually. Speech assessment was carried out by Fisher-Logman test of articulation competence. Velopharyngeal port area estimation was done by was carried out by pressure flow technique described by Warren, and the hearing sensitivity was assessed with Belton audiometer. And he concluded that initially there was no errors on speech sounds, and by around 12 months, errors on sibilants like S and Z, they noted some errors. But in case of voice resonance, velopharyngeal port area and hearing sensitivity were not altered by the surgery. So another study conducted by Deriotere and Daifondarov, and they showed that abnormalities of medullary function and Puritan auditory effects at week 3 and 6 after orthognathic surgery returned to their normal range in week 12. And another study conducted by Yagmai et al., like he concluded that a mild change in auditory function was observed post-surgery. And another study conducted by Wong et al., like he studied both preoperative and postoperative, and he evaluated and demonstrated that hearing status and medullary function were not affected after surgery. So moving on to the discussion part, Dalston and Wing, they studied 40 patients who underwent either maxillary or mandibular orthognathic surgeries. 2 subjects demonstrated deterioration in speech, 1 made improvements, and the remaining subject had no noticeable change in speech production. And Rosello and colleagues, they also noted that most patients who demonstrated speech errors preoperatively exhibited improvements in their speech, whereas none exhibited deterioration in speech production. So it can be concluded that orthognathic surgery has the potential to improve speech errors, and usually they can also cause some auditory system dysfunction, but it is mostly mild and transient, and in most cases it does not require any intervention. So to conclude, individuals undergoing conventional maxillary osteotomy or maxillary distraction osteogenesis procedure should be afforded a perceptual and instrumental assessment of speech and velopharyngeal function, both preoperatively and postoperatively as well. So these are my references, and thank you.